This episode took a while to record because the first time I did it, my energy levels was low. I was just tired. I finally got myself situated. It's a lot of good stuff that I want to get into on this show, and I'm happy to be here. Thank y'all for being patient with me. Shout out to the community for the feedback, the support, and just keeping me accountable for getting this content out to y'all because I have been really amping up putting out more reels. I'm finna start getting back into putting some more of that fly stuff on and posting pictures, but I gotta work some stuff out with my photographer so we can get that all together. But I got a lot of excited outfits that I'm ready to roll out for the summer because it is about to get hot outside, which means it's time to pull out the shorts, the sneakers, the new tees. I might get some new hats, some shade. I'm finna essentially just redo my whole closet in a little bit, and I'm excited to share that with y'all. But let's get into this episode. Hey, sometimes you just gotta keep going. Even if it ain't working out, just keep pushing through it. Eventually it'll get to where it needs to be. I tried to record this episode a couple of times. I just was not able to get it right. The first video, I was talking slow. My energy levels was low. I sounded like this. It was just a lot of, and that's not entertaining. And my whole point of doing this is to entertain, but also to express myself. So that's why this episode took a little while to get here. Shout out to everybody that supported me for the dating and compatibility QA form that I filled out. I got a lot of interaction off of that. My partners thought it was hilarious. My homegirls thought I wasn't being serious and they couldn't believe it. Some people actually filled it out, which was cool. I definitely read some of the responses and stuff like that. It gave me some good perspective. And I'm going to say this. If I shoot my shot and it don't work, tell me you're not interested. Like, I don't think people should go about leading other people on. And I'm guilty of it. So now I'm like holding myself accountable. If I'm not interested, I'm going to just say, hey, I ain't really interested. Because people be putting their heart out trying to get to know somebody or wanting to shoot their shot. And it can be very, very hurtful not getting reciprocated, at least the courtesy of communicating where you stand. And part of that is understanding your boundaries and understanding what works for you and what don't work for you. Because for me, I'm a firm believer that if you're not interested in somebody, you should just tell them. Because it can make your life a lot easier. You don't have to be annoyed. I don't get why people play games with others' emotions as it pertains to being interested and not interested. A lot of people complain about dating from the money aspect of it or the wasting other people's time. Sometimes you go win. Sometimes you're going to lose, and sometimes you're going to be in love. At the end of the day, if you made a choice, then you're not really in a loss. It was a choice to entertain somebody, get to know them, spend time with them. And if it wasn't all bad, then you ain't really waste your time. People don't care about your emotions. They really don't. Fellas, it's okay to cry and all that good stuff, but if you need to vent, unless it's your day one, like your ride or die, somebody that's really in your corner, go talk to a therapist because they don't care. Especially if it's involving you being emotionally vulnerable. Like, I get a lot of people saying men should be more expressive and we should talk about how we feel and all that. And I'm not trying to go down the Kevin Samuels route, but I feel like you leave your emotional stuff and your mental stuff to the professionals. Go talk to a therapist, talk to a pastor, a mentor, somebody you trust, and somebody that cares about your well-being more than you care about it for yourself. Because a lot of times people got their own problems that they gotta lean into. And if you're not professionally built in that area, I feel like people in the church are spiritually gifted to serve and help people in that ministry. I believe that therapists are professionally trained to understand and unpack those things. But your partner or your homegirl, they trying to figure out their own problems themselves. And before you know it, you'll end up hearing about their problems more than yours. And seeking validation from people about how you feel isn't going to always be in the best interest of yourself because sometimes people don't agree with you. And if you need somebody just to understand you, they ain't finna switch up. Like, I don't want people that's gonna lie to me to make me feel good about myself. But if I feel like I need some support, I know what my community is that will be able to support me and look out for my best interest. Saying all that to say, I think toxic masculinity has its pros and cons. I was raised off what people would call toxic masculinity, and I think I turned out all right. I'm very intelligent as it pertains to my emotions. They use the word emotionally intelligent or being in tune with yourself or being self conscious or whatever the case may be. But part of that is just because of how I was raised. My pops taught me very young, do not let your emotions get the best of you and put you in a position to where you can get hurt by being in jail or dead. A lot of times unpacking the stuff that hurts you or make you vulnerable or get into your soft side is a easy fix. It's just being real and acknowledging it. I'm a grown man. I know that I have feelings that impact my thought process in my day to day. I'm not gonna lie about it. However, it ain't finna stop my progression. Cause I don't think that I'm not limited by my emotions. And part of that is because I've worked to understand them and feel them. Emotions are so powerful. But if you don't have a good grasp of how to use them for good, you're going to end up putting yourself in bad positions all the time. You get better by going through controversy. The problems that I've experienced yesterday in my life have made me better today. Now, granted, there's some scar tissue there, a little bit of some trauma that you carry with that, but I'm here today, and the problems of yesterday do not have to make my current day a bad day. That's some encouragement. I hope that you use that to get through whatever you're going through, because the things that you've experienced in your past, they were the past for a reason. And I just hope that you don't let it stop you from having a good future. And I had to learn to accept that as I got older, because there's a lot of people that I wanted to right my wrongs with or get some revenge. And it feels good to get revenge, but that's not always healthy. It's like drinking poison to warm your body up. You're not getting better. And that's something I had to learn to let go. Like, I don't have to get revenge all the time because vengeance is the Lord's. But sometimes I be wanting to turn up on people, and that don't necessarily always bring the results that you want in life. I think the reason why people like myself wanted revenge is because we still don't feel validated or like we've accomplished the things that people have told us we haven't accomplished, or that we haven't come to grips with the wrongdoings of people that don't care about us because we care so much about their opinions. And I had to check myself and learn that it's okay not to get revenge or not to embrace that animalistic instinct to hurt people that hurt me. And that has really made some big changes in my life. It's brought me a level of peace. I can sleep better at night, and I feel a lot healthier with letting go of wanting to get revenge. And it's not easy. It takes a lot of practice, therapy, meditation, and prayer, doing the hard work so that you can be a stronger person. And it's definitely worth it. So if you like me and you feel like you want to get your lick back all the time, sometimes you just got to let people go. Now, granted, don't let nobody play you, run your high, stunt your high. I'm talking about High by Juvenile. That's a good song. That's definitely, that possibly is going on a wedding playlist. That's random. But, yeah, let that revenge stuff go. It ain't good for your spirit. Sometimes you got to let people live in their own misery about their problems, especially if they try to do it to you. Like, what better way to get somebody back than to not pay them no mind at all? Jada Faye dropped a new skit, and it was a 10 out of 10. And I'm not just saying that because she fine with her cute short haircut, but it was a good quality skit. And it was about, well, go ahead and watch it before I spoil it for you. All right, so hopefully you checked the skit out by now. Let's dive straight into it. Leasing a personality is so crazy. I could completely understand why somebody would buy a personality to be compatible with someone they interested in, but it's not sustainable. I don't think you can really front for too long or basically lie. Let's call it what it is. Fronting is lying. If you are pretending to be somebody you're not, you are lying to yourself and the person that you're trying to get to know. And it'd be a lot easier on you if you show up as your true self instead of your best self, because that's what the person is going to be used to when you get comfortable. It's just being your real self all the time. And then ultimately, if there's somebody that is compatible with you, it's just a lot easier when you ain't got a front or a lie. But that skit was hilarious. I don't see myself paying for a personality. unless I could buy the full package and it'd be like a permanent change. Because temporary solutions do not last in getting to know people or trying to accommodate for what is out of your norm. I think it's a lot easier to just be yourself in terms of the benefit versus the risk or the consequence of putting up a frontal line to somebody about how you really think, feel, and are as a person in dating. One of the things that stood out to me was how sex changes how people date. And I'm not going to take it to church with y'all on this topic because different folks have different opinions about it. And I'm not holier than thou, but I will say a lot of times when you allow yourself to be physically intimate with someone, you become a lot more tolerant of things that you normally wouldn't become tolerant of. And I can say that it can be manipulating. I'll just say that. And I would hope people are not being manipulated by sex and dating because that is very, very dangerous and very, very scary. And it can force you to become someone that you aren't. And that's not healthy. My flaws are prevalent. And it's easier for me to deal with them instead of lying about what they really are. And that has helped sustain me in this current state of my life. I'm very emotionally vulnerable. And I communicate about how I feel. I express how I think, and I just share myself without guarded walls solely for the purpose of not wanting to have to hide who I am and how I feel or the things that make me uncomfortable or the things that excite me that I'm really passionate about, whether it be my hobbies, my quirky interests, anything of the sort. I'm just fully embracing who I am in this chapter in my life, and it's so much fun because I feel like I don't have the weight of the world on my shoulder in terms of presenting this idealistic man that isn't who I am truly. I'm multifaceted. There are a lot of things that I enjoy, a lot of things that I'm passionate about that are across various spectrums. And I don't want to be boxed into just being one type of person. I'm not just a engineer, or I'm not just a Christian man. I'm not just a mature person or somebody that's funny, entertaining, and confident. I'm all things that are unique that make me me. And by embracing those things, I'm able to live better, breathe better, and not have so much stress or pressure to be performative. And that's some encouragement. Don't go out there trying to buy a fake personality or pretend to be someone that you're not, because eventually it's going to get very tiring. And it's just easier to be your true self, and people will either embrace that or reject that. But you will feel a lot better knowing that the people around you are around you because they want to be around you. Lately, I have been shaking the table because it's so much fun. And by shaking the table, I mean doing things that I normally wouldn't do. The other day, I called my mom at random and sang, and she was almost crying because my mom I don't know how to sing, but she like when I sing or do karaoke and stuff like that. I've been embracing doing stuff that's out the norm and just being more spontaneous. And I'm not even planning to be spontaneous because I love to plan everything. I plan random stuff that I try to leave to chance. But lately, it's just been like, nah, just do it. Just get out your shell. Go try something different. And what spontaneity has brought to me is a feeling of excitement, fresh perspective, figuring out how to break the routine and see if I still can stay within the realm of being productive. Because one of my biggest issues with being spontaneous all the time is that I feel like it's too close to not being responsible, like you inconsistent. But I've been struggling with being consistent in certain things for months. So throwing in a little bit of spontaneousness has kind of, it's about to get real hot outside. And I don't know how I feel about it. I don't think my summer body is loaded up the way it's supposed to just yet. Check out the reel with the fitness and how I've been getting it in. I'm gonna post some stuff soon while I'm trying to transform my whole body again. I am on a no desserts challenge. It's very difficult. So please keep all the cookies, cakes, pastries, whatever away from me because I don't need that right now. I want it, but I don't need it because I'm trying to be fine for the summer. I'm talking about my chest, my abs, my short. I'm trying to go outside. I'm trying to be handsome, but I ain't gonna be able to do that eating on Cinnabons and having up all the good drinks. So we gotta wait. But we gonna have some fun. Now I might make an exception for Juneteenth because somebody gonna make some peach cobbler. I don't know who gonna do it yet, but if you love me, if you care about me, have some peach cobbler ready for me by Juneteenth. That would make my spirit feel good, and you'll be blessed. I don't know where it's gonna come from, the Lord, but yeah, what a peach cobbler. This month, I am going to set myself up to start journaling and taking notes about things and doing some one on one interpersonal work. That way, I can have a healthy outlet that's more private because not everything needs to be on the internet. Some stuff is just between you, God, and that's good enough. And I feel like a lot of times people can try to lean on different mediums, whether that be a therapist, a friend group, vices. And it's like robbing God of the opportunity to show up for you and care for you. And I feel like that's selling yourself. Like, He perfectly built His relationship with you so that He can intercede in your life and support you and be there for you. Now, it's okay to get some help sometime. But I will say this: take some time to have some one-on-one inner work on your relationship with God so that you can take a lot of the distractions out the picture. Because when you got a bunch of external influences on your life, it can really push you in the wrong direction, and it's like depriving you the opportunity to have faith and work on your patience for the Lord, because that is a very difficult area to be in, especially when you're suffering. And I feel like a lot of people are suffering with various things right now that might be physically showing or might be hidden in the spirit. And what I just learned recently in church is that sometimes you're going to continue to suffer. And it's not going to be seasonal. It's going to be something you got to suffer with for the duration of your life. However, at the end of your life, when you go to heaven, if you got God in your life, we're not even getting into all that. But suffering and patience go hand in hand. And in church, they talked about how you can really go through stuff, but just trust that God got a plan for you and will work things out for your good. And that don't mean that you go get your way. That don't mean that things are going to be fixed. But I had to do some reflecting in church today to realize that some of the suffering that I sustained in my childhood helped me become more patient and more trustworthy in what God has for me today. Because the problems that I was dealing with 10 years ago, 15 years ago, are not the problems that I have now. And if I could go back and tell myself what I know now, I just like calm me down a little bit and allow me to appreciate the present. Because when I was younger, I was so focused on getting grown and being on my own and doing my own thing and not having to answer to nobody. And now that I don't, I find myself leaning more into answering to God and what He wants for me and trying to encourage people to trust in God. I don't think I'm the perfect Christian, or I don't think that I'm the most holiest person in the world, because my flaws are my flaws and they are prevalent. However, I do feel like I'm definitely making the decision to work on my relationship with God because I value it so much, and I credit that to a lot of the things that have gone right in my life. And even when things have gone wrong, I find myself believing that the root of those hardships are to make me better and to appreciate and depend on God more, instead of saying, "Oh, why is this stuff happening to me, God? You doing me wrong." Because I don't think that's what God has designed for anybody. I don't think He wants us to suffer.